So think of like a cherished family recipe. Keeping a flour-dusted copy right there in your kitchen keeps the tradition alive way better than locking the original index card inside a bank vault.
Oh, yeah. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Exactly. And today we're taking a deep dive into how immigrants use that exact same logic. But obviously not with a recipe. We're looking at the Declaration of Independence.
Right. And the specific artifact from our sources today is this special edition of the Declaration. It was created by a Jewish communal organization called B'nai B'rith.
And our mission today is basically uncovering how this simple replica became a really profound tool for integration.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And, this wasn't just some cheap, glossy poster. It was a premium faux parchment reproduction of Timothy Matlack's original 1776 calligraphy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, complete with John Hancock's famous signature. But it had one major difference. It was uniquely stamped with a Jewish communal seal.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, wait, if you're a new immigrant group trying to fit in, why stamp your own seal on America's founding document? I mean, B'nai B'rith started around 1843, right?
It did, yeah.
So if you're facing prejudice, wouldn't you want to lay low? Was organizing this way basically a survival strategy for German Jewish immigrants?
Well, what's fascinating here is that laying low just wasn't going to build a secure future. They leaned heavily into this concept called Bildung.
Bildung, that's self-betterment, right?
Oh, right. Self-betterment and active civic education. They were using it to actively build civic belonging. I mean, They went from fielding a Civil War company to later running World War II blood drives.
Okay, so by literally stamping their seal on the Declaration, they're making a psychological claim. These ideals belong to us too.
Exactly. It was a tangible commitment, and this physical shield became incredibly poignant later on, especially in the 1930s. As totalitarianism spread.
Oh, right, because of the Gestapo.
Yeah. After the Gestapo seized their sister lodges in Germany, the U.S. Constitution and Declaration became very literal shields against totalitarianism for these communities here.
That is just wild to think about. But, here's where it gets really interesting with our sources. There's a massive historical hurdle with treating physical documents as your shield.
Because the original paper is just incredibly fragile.
Right. Take George Washington's famous 1790 letter. The one where he promised to bigotry no sanction.
Right, to that Jewish congregation.
Yeah. So for decades, it was loaned out for public display. But by 2002, the Morgan Stern Foundation had to lock it away in a dark, climate-controlled warehouse.
Just to stop it from disintegrating.
Exactly.
And see, if we connect this to the bigger picture, that creates what archivists call archival captivity. When a document is hidden away, its civic impact shrinks.
Because you interact with what you can actually see.
Yeah, and that isolation has real consequences. Facsimiles keep values visible and prevent historical distortions, like the original 1797 Treaty of Tripoli.
Oh, the translation error? Yeah. There was a century-long translation error regarding America's relationship with religion. And that happened because the original text was basically out of circulation for so long.
So having these high-fidelity declaration facsimiles in schools and homes prevents those myths from taking root.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean when we look at public monuments? Because assimilation is public, too, like B'nai B'rith commissioning that massive bronze statue for the centennial.
Ah, Moses Jacob Ezekiel's 1876 religious liberty statue.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, the drive to make liberty tangible wasn't limited to paper. But this raises an important question about how these 1776 ideals translate globally.
Like with global diplomacy. Because I know they intervened with President Truman. They did. B'nai B'rith leaders helped secure recognition for the 1948 Israeli Declaration of Independence. They linked both documents as interconnected milestones for human rights and self-determination.
Wow. That really changes how you look at a framed replica in an office. And for you listening, this means democracy really requires active, physical reminders in your daily life.
It really does. It cannot survive purely as an abstract concept.
Right. You need that family recipe out on the counter.
Which leaves you with this final provocative thought. If our original founding documents must remain locked in the dark to physically survive, how do we ensure our society's understanding of those same ideals doesn't also fade into the dark?
In order to form a more perfect
Hello, my name is Larry Arnn. I'm the president of Hillsdale College, which is honored to be working with the White House to produce these videos in honor of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the greatest political document in human history. Our college was founded in honor of that document. We encourage you to love it and to celebrate it. And to celebrate it, you should learn about it. We're going to talk about two things, the meaning and the structure of the Declaration of Independence. First question is, what does it mean? Things have causes. There's a classical account of the causes of things that include four. The efficient cause means whoever made it. The material cause means whatever it's made out of. The formal cause means what does it look like and how does it operate? And the final cause is what is it for? What love produces it? Declaration of Independence contains a lot of information about the formal cause of America in the middle, but its chief function is to provide the final cause of the country. What is the country for? And it begins very beautifully by explaining that. It says that any time in history, any people in history have a right under the laws of nature and of nature's God to form a nation according to purposes that they adopt. What are these laws of nature and nature's God? What does that mean? The Christian view is that God made nature. The classical view is that each being has a good, and the good and the being are the same thing. Nature is full of things that are good, and it's wrong to violate the good of anything. What do these laws say about people? They say that they're all created equal. Think what a remarkable thing it is for a people to adopt a standard like that as their purpose, as their governing purpose. And we did that in opposition to a king who claimed that he was born to be our ruler because he was better born than we are. He was denying the proposition that all men are created equal. If you recognize this principle of equality and you recognize it properly, it will give rise to the most amazing diversity and difference among people, because it sets up a right of all of us to pursue our lives best we can, without impediment by kings and emperors. We said, in the laws of nature and nature's God, no one is born to rule anybody else. And that's beautiful. And it sets up an agitation in the country which goes on to this day to always try to recognize those principles. And that's the final cause of the United States of America. Now a word about the structure of the document. It begins with this universal claim that we're all created equal and that nobody may rule us except by our consent. And in the middle bit they claim the king has done a bunch of bad stuff that justifies the revolution. He took houses away from people and put troops in them. That means they were dislodged. They were driven out into the street. He arrested people. And he put them on ships. And the ships were not very comfortable. They were in the hold of the ship. Sometimes they sat around for weeks in the harbor. And they were taken all the way to England. Most of them had never been there before. And they were put on trial in front of people who they never met before. Not a jury of your peers. This is the 25th paragraph. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He did kill people. And then he'd talk about the mercenaries there. Large armies of foreign mercenaries, those were the Hessians, to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely parallel in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. But then that leads us to the second thing about this structure point, and that was some of them are direct violations of the best method, the founders argued the only sure method, to keep the government from doing things like that to you, to its citizens, to anybody, right? And those methods are, they provide the organizing principle of the Constitution of the United States. They are representation. You know, the Continental Congress that passed the Declaration of Independence took great pains to be a representative body. That is to say, they're not acting according to their own wills. Somebody else, those who will be governed under this new government that they're creating, have appointed us to do this. We are acting for them. We have government by consent. And they say that the king is interfering with the legislatures that they had before. He dissolved several of them, and he prevented others of them from meeting. And those are all in these charges here, right? He has obstructed government by consent. Then he's messed around with the judicial branch. And that means that the legislature has to pass a law, and then the executive enforces only the laws that have been passed. And then when the law is applied upon any citizen, he has to be taken in front of a judge who's not dismissible by the legislature or the executive. And then the judge has to decide. That's called the independent judiciary. It's a terribly important thing. So the middle bit of the Declaration, these 28 paragraphs, is the second part of the structure of the Declaration of Independence. And the third part is a formal legislative act that makes the nation. It's passed by the Continental Congress. I should mention that God appears 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. He appears in the first sentence as the maker of the laws of nature and nature's God, the legislator. He appears in the beginning of the second paragraph as the endower of our rights, as creator, the founder of everything. The last paragraph is personal. They refer to themselves for the first time. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States, we, in General Congress assembled. And then they appeal to somebody to judge whether they're right. And that person is not the King of England. It's the supreme judge of the world, the judicial branch. For the rectitude of our intentions, in other words, we swear we're doing what seems right, and we ask God to judge. In the name of the good people of these colonies. You can read it as a claim that the people of the colonies are good. You can read it as a claim that we're acting for the good ones. Or you can read it as the claim we have to remember to be good because we are assuming this authority now. Free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war. Now we get to the hard thing. Conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And then the beautiful last sentence. This is where the executive branch comes in. Because see, now it's war. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. That's God as the executive branch. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Only in the hands of God would all the powers of government be combined. Those men in that room, the same room where the Constitution would later be written by some of the same people, we mutually pledge to each other everything we've got. We Americans today owe those people. We should learn about them. Thank you.